This is my new studio monitor. Here, wait, get over here. This was made in 1978, and as you can see, it's a vintage boombox. And you might be thinking, why are you using a vintage boombox as a reference monitor? You might even be thinking like, what the hell do this guy sound like crap? And you know, you might be right, but we're gonna find out later on in the video. After doing some research, I found out that a lot of top tier mixing engineers use boomboxes in their studios. Specifically like 90s era boomboxes, and like they must know something to be using that still as a reference monitor. And now this boombox has been one of the best things to help me in my mixes recently. Why does this vintage boombox and others like it work great as reference monitors? And why did I decide against buying some of the more popular cube speakers like the Oratones? Well, let's get into it. My main monitors are the Kali LP6s, and I have the Sennheiser HD 650s as my headphones, but something was still missing. I would go out to the car to reference my mixes and on other systems. And the one-way cube monitors like the Oratones were a thing to get to help getting my mixes to translate better. But honestly, I was on a budget and I couldn't get past the price point of them. And I was even so close to building my own DIY version of it, so I was feeling quite stuck. And then I ran into some info about CLA and some of the other mixing engineers that are very popular that have a boombox in their studios. Seeing these boomboxes in pro studios and hearing the advice on forums, this really got me thinking this could be really the missing piece to help with my mixing and getting them to translate better. So I decided this was my best choice. So I wanted to find a speaker or boombox that matched the following criteria. For one, it had to be a one-way speaker with no tweeter, so there's no crossover to deal with. Nothing modern that gave it like the extra bass, and it also need to have some kind of RCA or aux jack. So let's get into how I found it. Have you ever found the perfect piece of gear in like the most unexpected places? Well, that's exactly what happened to me. So I live in Seoul, Korea. And I went to a flea market that had a lot of LPs and like a lot of retro kind of stuff. And there's an area deep down this alley that has a lot of like old audio equipment. As expected, there's a lot of junk. But when I got there, there was actually a few nuggets to be found. And I found this, and it fit all the check boxes I was looking for in getting a new stereo. So I went ahead and got it, even though it is so much older than I am. And after I got home, I did a little research and I found an old magazine, and it's actually from 1979, and it's an old Iowa TMR 400. Is made for the Japanese only market, so it might be tough getting one of these. The thing costs about $200 with the exchange rate back in 79, and with inflation that would be like $700 in today's money. You might be wondering what I got it for. Well, I got it for $70, which can sound a little expensive for something that's old, and I'm not sure if it actually works perfectly. When I bought it, at least I knew it turned on. Plus, I thought it looked pretty dang cool, and I really liked the fact that it only had one speaker. Most boomboxes had like stereo speakers on both sides. So, and when I got it home, I opened it up, and even though the electronics are pretty old, it looked like it had some servicing, and everything works. There's one big question: will this 45-year-old boombox help me with my mixes similar to how the Oratones might? All right, let's get into the first impressions of how it sounds before getting to anything technical. First, what really struck me instantly was the impact on the mid-range, which is one of the main benefits of the cube speakers like the Oratones, as you probably know. I can't give you a side-by-side comparison with the Oratones because I don't have them, they're quite expensive. But I can A/B them with my Kali speakers and the boombox, so you can get kind of a little estimate of how they sound. Let me know what you think they sound like in the comments. Just so you know, they aren't supposed to sound good, so keep that in mind. Let's get into how I'm actually going to use these. So there are three ways it's really impacted my workflow so far. First, when I want to make some listening decisions in true mono, like when I'm working on a song and it has like a ton of instrument layers, it helps me laser focus on the core elements like the mid-range and get mixes that really translate better. And I don't really have to worry about any like phasing because it's coming out of a single speaker with no crossover. And second, it's going to be my new car test, which I used to use as you probably all know, that you use your car to be kind of the translation check. And third, it helps me know when I'm kind of pushing the speaker too far on the low end, because it'll start, this is a technical term, you'll start farting out when it's getting pushed too hard. So I know how to keep things balanced when I'm using it. So I've talked about it and you've got to hear them. So let's actually try to do some kind of non-scientific tests in Room EQ Wizard, REW. So we took the test, but before I show those results, I want to show you the frequency response that I found for the Oratones, the new Oratones, the vintage Oratones, and the Avantones. If we look at this chart here, we can see they all kind of dip off at 100, cut off at 100 dB, and kind of cut off also at around 10K, which they look all pretty standard about that. And let's start with the red one. The red one is the Avantones, which is kind of a cheaper like knockoff brand of the Oratones. I've still heard of them a lot, and they're pretty popular. And as you can see, the frequency response here is pretty wide range. And just so you know, these have 1/6 octave frequency smoothing, which will actually make all these speakers look halfway decent. And I couldn't find anything else with less smoothing than that. So when we look at my test, we'll compare no smoothing versus 1/6 octave. But anyway, now if we look at the blue one here, we can see in the low end, not the low end, but the lower mids here, it kind of has some pretty big variations, but the higher mids, they even off. Then here, these are the new Oratones in the green, and the same thing. The low mids still kind of a lot of variation, but also the high end or middle, the high mids, it's kind of pretty smooth. Let's look at my boombox, and looking at this, oh damn, it looks like shit. But obviously my test is not, I want to say is ideal, and I'm pretty sure these nulls, they could be from the speaker, but they're probably from my room and stuff like that, standing waves and like comb filtering and stuff like that. So let's smooth this just a little bit. So I'm just going to do 1/48 smoothing to kind of see this better. And so this is also including the reflections from the room. So what I want to do first is to kind of gate that. So what I'm going to do is this tool here will calculate the reflection time, 3.67 millisecond. Input that time. You can see it actually kind of cuts down the resolution a lot, and it will not show me anything below, what was it, 270, 280, because it's gating out anything after that, and it can't process like the lower waveforms because it doesn't actually have a what is it, oscillation. Okay, but we can see there's 90 to 82, so that's about 10 dB, and obviously below 1K the resolution is quite bad. So let's double this. The resolution here 80, that's a 10 dB, something like 15 dB, so comparable to the Avantones, I'd say. And this one's not good. Are my speakers as good as I want them? Would like them? According to these tests? Probably not. But is it working? Yes, it is. Let's put the smoothing on the same smoothing as the other ones. And oh, that looks a lot better. I wonder why they only have the 1/6 octave smoothing. It makes everything look pretty good. But okay, so that's the test. This boombox is not your typical like reference monitor. Like many of the other popular mixing engineers that have one in here, like it's not something that follows the standard rules that you might hear on the internet. Sometimes breaking the rules leads to unexpected results and hidden gems you found in an alley. If you're here to explore like creative ideas, join me on the journey, please hit the like and subscribe button.